Hello friends, I am your friend CPA East Taneja, and I'm going to introduce you from CPA perspective the three W's and the one H. Basically, if I were to mention a couple of things about CPA, it is one of the world's best recognized degree from one of the top world's best country as well. So the credentials of this degree are huge. And if you are able to fulfill this degree, the earning potential which you will have and the value which you will generate is huge. So I wish you all the best to do this degree, and let's move forward to understand as to how, why, where, and what can be done for you to achieve this kind of degree. Okay. So first of all, let me just tell you one thing, that most of the people think that CPA means the American CPA. It is not that way. Various countries, like in India, we have a CA, a CS, and a CMA, three degrees which we have government recognized. Each country has either a CA or a CPA. So, for example, in UK, London, they call themselves as CA, like in India. But in Australia, they have Australian CPA. In New Zealand, they will have New Zealand CPA. In Canada, they have Canadian CPA. And so in US, they have the American CPA. So first of all, you need to be very, very sure, very, very clear in mind that here we are not doing a degree which can serve anywhere in the world. Each country will have its own specific CPA or CA or any other certified accountant degrees of specific to that country. Here we are talking about the CPA of US. That's one. Number two is, we say that it is a gateway for global opportunities. The reason being that when you are an American CPA, you are eligible to work in various other countries, especially the countries, the companies which are American, like in India. There are various organizations, for example, Deloitte is there, EY, KPMG, GE, Genpact, IBM. There are so many countries, so many companies which are either they have their headquarters in US or they make their financials in US certified kind of financials. They definitely need a CPA person. So CPA can open a good openings for you if you qualify this degree. Okay. So as I mentioned, CPA stands for the Certified Public Accountant. It is one of the top accounting credentials of US. It is covered by the AICPA. So like in India, we have the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Company Secretaries, Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Like in US, the institute is the AICPA Institute. So they are the body who actually make sure that you are, giving the license, you are fulfilling the requirements, and are, able to meet the needs of the US society. However, like in India, if I qualify a CA or a cost accountancy course in India, I can practice anywhere in India, which is not in US. So if in US, most states, so each state, so for example, there is a New York state, there is Washington state, there is Colorado state where I did my CPA from. So I have to first of all fulfill the requirements of the state board who will validate whether I am eligible for the exams or not. So there is one more body which is not there present in India, and that body is the state board, which will give me a license, which will also tells me whether I am fulfilling all the CEP hours to make sure that I can practice in the next year as well. Second important thing is that if I qualify as per one state, so for example, if I am qualifying as per the Colorado state, my license is more eligible to practice allow me to practice in the state of Colorado. I cannot just go into New York and start practicing. It is not that difficult also. So if I have to move from Colorado to New York, So I have to then fulfill the requirements of the New York State criteria as well. So each state will have different criteria. I have to fulfill those criteria and then only I am eligible to be a part of that state. It is equivalent to the CPA qualification. The reason being, CPA is the only authority who can certify a financial statement. So like in India, the chartered accountants only can certify the annual reports, the financial statements of the companies or the LLPs or LLCs. Same in US, it is only the CPA who is authorized to certify financial statements. Uh, the best part of the CPA is that the exams are not big in numbers. So like in India, if I have to give a CA or a CS or a CMA examination, I have to pass at least 16 to 17 papers throughout my 4 semesters, which happens in India. But in US, there are only just 4 papers, just 4. And if you are able to clear those 4 papers, then you are clearing your CPA exam. But there is a catch, very very important catch. 2 important parameters you need to understand. The easy part is there are only 4 papers. The tough part is that all these 4 papers will have to be cleared in 18 months. So if you are not able to clear one of the paper in 18 months, so suppose example, you clear only 3 papers in the 18 months, the 4th paper you have not cleared that in the 18 months, then probably you have to forego the first paper, reappear the first paper again, and make sure that next 18 months you are clearing all those 4 papers. So there is a timeline. You cannot say that okay, I will keep on giving paper whenever I wish to. No, you cannot. So you have to first of all clear all those papers in 18 months. Second important parameter is the passing percentage in India is about 50%, but not in US. To clear all those 4 papers, you need to score 75 in each paper. I have seen friends, some of my friends who have given the examination, they got 74, and yes, they have to reappear again. So take it very very seriously that if case you get 74, there is no grace marks to be eligible for passing, so you have to reappear again. The only benefit now is that you can go to Dubai to give those papers, but in my case when I did, it was only just the US, so people had to go to US again to give those papers. So as it mentions, there are 4 sections. Financial is basically the accounting, the financial statements. Audit is basically the auditing standards, which talks about how you make your reports, what are the various controls, what are the various parameters which auditors have to be careful about, what are the various types of auditors, the internal auditor, the risk auditor, the statutory auditor, and all those parameters which the auditing profession talks about. The third one is regulation, which is basically the taxation. So what are the various returns, various uh, taxes, the direct taxes and the indirect taxes? How do you claim your deductions and how do you file your returns? There might be some questions in relation to filing of tax returns. So like when I gave the exam, one of the question came that you have to fill a tax return. So they give us a complete tax return and they give me information, and I had to fill those parameters, picking up the numbers into that return form. You have to be very very careful in terms of filing those tax returns. And the fourth one is business. It is basically on the aspects of the business environment, business regulations, business controls. So those are the 4 important papers of the CPA exams. It basically, so when you talk about the benefits of being a CPA, it increases your career opportunities in a big way. Your marketability becomes much bigger. Companies like Deloitte, EY, KPMG, they look for CPAs to understand because they have a lot of American clients which they have in India. It boosts your credibility, definitely a much plus in your career enhancement. It enhances your earning potential. and it provides such stability as well. One of my relatives could not clear the CA exam after so many attempts, but could clear the CPA, and they passed out from Dubai, and now they are certified in CPA, and they are working in a big four multinational CA firm of India. Okay. What you earn, so as the Robert Half salary guide suggests, that you have an advantage if you practically work with a CPA degree, which means that the amount which you get is much higher as compared to what a normal person who is not certified in the CPA can get. So it definitely enhances your value. These are some of the companies which are operating in India. They have offices all over the world. So the first important term was it enhances your global compatibility is clarified by if you work in all these organizations, you can be posted anywhere in the world, and your global opportunities can easily be encashed by these companies. There are three E's which exists: the eligibility, the education, and the exam. These are very essential. So eligibility, first of all, it has to be seen by a state board, and that is where the role of Takshila and Orbit comes in. They can tell you, they can guide you whom to approach, who is the person who is going to certify your degrees. So like for example, when I did my CPA, I had to go to Haley Road in New Delhi to get my degrees certified by a US consulate officer over there, and then I could send them to the Colorado state. So, and this is where the role of Orbit Institutes and Takshila Learning as to guiding where to go, whom to approach, when is the right time, what are the various papers I need to get validated comes in handy. So these are some of the degrees, Indian degrees, which are helpful for you to get entry into the CPA courses. Similarly, if you have a US degree equivalent, they need to validate into whether that is equivalent to the US degree or not. Some important things is that, like in India, we have the 12th plus the 3 years of graduation. In US, it is 12 plus 4. So the graduation in US is actually 4 years. So if you have 12 plus 3, you are not eligible directly unless some state allows you. Mostly they will take you 12 plus 4, which means that you may have to go a 1-year diploma course to make it 12 plus 4. So that is one important parameter which you need to clarify from your learning partners to understand as to which state you are taking from and how you are eligible for that. So there are certain credit points which you need to have, and that is how these institutes help you that, okay, so with this degree you have so much of points with you, and whether you are eligible to be a part of that CPA or not. As I mentioned to you, in case you are a Bachelor of Commerce or Bachelor of Arts, you have only 3 years of degree, or maybe a BBA, plus there are some degrees which are 3 years or 5 years also. So if it is 4 plus, it is sufficient, but if it is 3, then probably you will have to do a 1-year more course to allow you to be eligible for the CPA exam. CPA exams are generally into 3 parameters. One is the MCQs, the multiple choice questions, where there will be a question and there will be 4 options. My experience has been that most of the questions which are given to you by our centers, they are more than sufficient for you to pass these exams. The only thing is, don't mug them. Try to understand the concept. So whenever you are able to see the answer, also check the logic. Go back to the book, go back to the course, see what is the logic which is used for the answering of the exam. Quite possibly that your logic may be as same as what the logic the book is saying, or probably your logic was more a fluke rather than the logic. So understand the logic first, because if you are able to understand the logic, you will be sure to pass the exam, because it's not a fluke exam. You have to score 75%. Secondly, sometimes the questions which you may mug, may appear same which is there in the exam, but then they have changed the language. So sometimes you have assumed that it is the same as which you have studied while you are preparing, but the question has now given a no in between, or something new has been changed, which will make your answer incorrect if you have only marked the question. So please make sure that you read the question very, very carefully and don't try to mug or compare what you have learned. So there will be a MCQs, there will be a task-based simulations. What will happen is they will give you a 5 to 6 line or maybe 7 to 8 line question where they will give you some situations. So it can be in auditing related, for example, this thing has happened or this problem has come up, or in financial accounting, suppose you have to prepare a financial statement, these are the data which you have to prepare, or in say regulation they give you a tax situation and you are required to answer some 4 or 5 questions which are there in the test. So you have to be very, very sure in terms of what you have prepared. The beauty of these exams is they allow you some course material which will be there on these questions also. So you can refer to those material if you are preparing for these questions. And then there might be some essay questions which are more in detail. For example, they might ask you to prepare an audit report. Like we were asked to prepare an audit report for a company, which we have to use that standard format to learn it. Each person will have to prepare according to the weightage which is given. Sometimes in the last stages, you may not be able to devote much time into various subjects. So make sure that you understand the weightage. Just to give you an example, like government accounting and reporting is just 8% or 12% weightage. So average comes to 10%. Suppose I have tried this and I am not able to understand the logic, I am not able to understand much. So I'll better leave it rather than leaving the first part, because here the weightage is about 20%. So this helps me to prepare well my format of the question. If I plan my routine according to this marking scheme, my focus will be hitting the target and passing the exam. Yeah. Again, financial reporting, 15 MCQs, one task-based situation where we have, pre-test questions, plus the passing grade is 75, which I have already explained. Same happens with auditing and attestation. So these are the parameters which are defined. So value your time according to these parameters. Same, you will see 70 to 75, 3 multiple MCQs tests, and then you will have task-based simulations as well. Regulation, again, these are the parameters which are defined. Plan your time accordingly, and then again 75. And the last one is business environment, which talks about financial management, strategic, corporate governance, ethics, information systems, technology, operations management. Couple of things which you need to be very careful about. Number one, generally you will see all quarter ends, they don't have those exams. So March, June, September and December, they don't have these exams. Generally, these are the days for filing of the financials. So like in US, the first quarter ends in March, so people generally prepare their financials and then they don't allow these exams to happen. That is what US has been doing so far. So that is where you need to be very sure about in terms of planning for the exams. If you learn from Becker, these are some of the data which tells you that most of the I also passed from Becker only, so how they help you to pass with a success rate. These are some of the questions which are available to you. The more you practice, the more success as yours. I think that is all I had to share. I wish you all the best from Takshila Learning. Thank you.